Hi, everybody. Scott Taylor, Data Whisperer, here on Mic Drop with Julia as a special guest host. And can't believe it. Talk about a small world. Our guest today is Julia herself. We're going to interview her the way she talks to many of us. Julia, as you know, is the CEO of Data for Real and a board advisor and a great storyteller and data practitioner out there in the data space. So, Julia, welcome to your own show.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate the warm welcome to my own show. And it's interesting flipping the script. It's a lot easier to ask the questions than to answer. I now feel a lot more for my guests.
So let me ask you some of those deep penetrating questions that you always have with your guests here. So when you look back on your career, what do you wish you knew then when you started that you know now?
So one of the most difficult things for me to learn was political capital and the importance of it. I come from technical background. My education was in math. I was really good at math. I always thought, once I'm good at math, everything else just lines up, because what can be harder? And I had to learn that to actually deliver the value and to progress in your career, you need to be able to relate to people and you need to be able to build your political capital. And it seems very obvious now looking back, but it took me about 18 years and a lot of frustration and scars and slow down in my career for me to realize that to be able to move your agenda in the organization, people need to trust you, need to have the capital. But not only you need to create it, you also need to be really mindful about how you're spending it. So I used to do stuff which, looking back, like that was not the best thing to do. I would argue bitterly for slightly higher rating for somebody on my team, instead of putting my political capital into getting a higher proportion of the bonus money.
So where did you run into that? I mean, I ran into that a lot too in my career, where it's not just, you just expect the power of your idea and the fact that it is just so plainly valuable to overwhelmingly convince people, and yet this person's got an agenda. They don't want you to succeed. They want to make sure their team does it instead. This will make them not look as smart. I mean, what kind of things did you run into to make you really realize, look, I've got to at least get better at politics?
Yeah, some of it was, it's usual human interaction. People have their own incentives and you have to create incentive for them. One of the things I ran out, actually, I had a boss that on personal level was absolutely great and helped a lot. On the professional level, would throw me under the bus every time there was a bus.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it took me really long time to reconcile those two in my head. But also I moved on to a different job. And in that one, I realized it's not, okay, I can complain about the boss, but it's also my fault for standing so close to the bus and being vulnerable for being pushed under it. And I have to create my own political capital that makes it very hard to push me under the bus and actually gets me much better position on driving the bus versus being pushed. Now, I do my best. I'd never drive over other people. When I drive the bus, I try to use all of the political capital I have for good. Now that I work for myself and it's a company of one, it's a very different equation. But that's one of the most important things that I have learned in my career that really, once I learned it, it really helped me.
Exactly. No, I've had similar situations. And now that you're a company of one, you just take an Uber, forget about the bus. So
yeah, exactly.
To push that analogy. So we want to conclude the show, your show, our show, the way you always do. What's the one piece of advice you would give to a group of data professionals?
Step outside of your comfort zone, be it on the technology level or be it in the job level. If you want to progress both in your career and in the value that you bring to the companies, step outside of your comfort zone. The longer you stay within your comfort zone, the smaller it gets. And keep in mind, stepping outside of your comfort zone, guess what, is uncomfortable.
By definition.
Definition, live through discomfort. You have to know you're stepping, you're going to be uncomfortable. This is one of the things when I spent 30 years in corporations. I was very comfortable. I was comfortable going into a new corporation. That was actually changing jobs and going to a new corporation ended up being my comfort zone. Stepping up as a consultant and having to sell my services, guess what? It's very uncomfortable. It's way outside of my comfort zone. And the first year and a half, and still, I'm still often uncomfortable. But you know what? It's good for you. And it just grows you as a person. It grows your brain. And it grows the value you can bring to yourself and to others. So yes, a step outside of your comfort zone while being mindful of your political capital.
I love that imagery of when you stay in your comfort zone, it gets smaller and smaller. But if you do get out of it, all of a sudden it's not so uncomfortable after a while, right?
Well, then, yes, your comfort zone increases.
Well, great advice. Again, Julia, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be on your own show, Mic Drop with Julia. So this is Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer. Thanks for listening, and check with us next time.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for coming to my show and flipping a script on me. Thank you so much.